Welcome to another episode of In Conversation. The government of India claims that situation in Kashmir is normalized and the development in economy is getting a boost. Yet it states that conditions are not conducive for holding elections. How do we understand these contradictions? What is the view from inside Jammu and Kashmir? What does the present lull signify? And these are some of the questions that we will try to understand today. Joining me is PDP President and former Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti. Welcome, Mehbooba ji.
Thank you.
In brief, how would you describe the political, economic, and social situation in Kashmir today?
Limbo. Everything has come to a standstill. The only thing that is working here at this point of time is the fear. Fear has been institutionalized. It has been instilled in the form of, ED, NIA, SUI, CBI. People have been threatened into silence. We are talking about big things, democracy, politics. The basic fundamental rights of people have been taken away, like right to express. You can't do anything. You can't speak up your mind. I can't say. When I say a common person can't, an employee can't say that there is no electricity. He can't write it on social media. The next day he will get a call from the office and he may be even terminated. So things look very normal on the surface, but inside, fear has been instilled in the hearts and minds of the people. I just can't tell you. Economy, they are trying to sabotage the economy through various measures. All the time they are talking about tourism. But if you look at it, everything, whether it's democracy, whether it's politics, economy, social, whatever you call it, it is all is gone for a toss. It's so sad.
Are you saying that other than tourism, there is no other sector that is progressing?
Tourism is also, it's not organic tourism. Let me tell you, be very frank about it. They are trying to send tourists, I don't know how they manage it, to show them that we have captured Kashmir for you. It's now yours, as if it belonged to someone else. But as far as other things are concerned, like let's say horticulture, you heard that, after this G20 summit, Biden was given a present by our prime minister. The import duty was reduced to bare minimum. So apple horticulture is the backbone of Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm not talking about Kashmir. You look at Jammu. Jammu has become the biggest collateral damage in this fight of BJP with the Kashmiri Muslims. Muslim Kashmir, Muslim Valley and all that. Jammu too has become the biggest, it is the collateral damage. Look at the economy in Jammu. Everything right from our sand to the, construction work of bigger projects, smart city, even the wine shops, everything has been outsourced to the people outside. So what do the people do here? Your jobs are, there are scams and scams and scams. People are not getting employment, but they are getting, terminated from services. So you can well imagine what will be the state of economy here.
You talked about, people cannot even write on the social media or they cannot criticize the government. They're not. So what kind of, what kind of comments or what kind of posts invites these kind of actions like ED raids or termination of employees or whatever? What are these? Are these political comments? Are these?
Rather, you heard about that doctor Zahur Bhatt, who went to Supreme Court and spoke about 370.
Oh yes, of course.
That's the example. That's something for everybody to see.
So how does
you have a person in forest department who one day writes that the electricity is not there, and he just posts on the social media. Next day he gets a notice from the department that you explain how dare you could write it. Then there is I know a person who just put on social media, in Kazigund, people were against setting up of these wine shops. So they were protesting. I don't know how they allowed them to protest. So he put a picture of that protest on the social media. The police department people, they called him and said, you take down the post, otherwise you'll be in jail. So this is the state of affairs, what they call everything is normal.
So how do political parties function in this kind of an atmosphere? What is the scope for the political parties? What is their space right now?
Well, as I said earlier, also the only thing that is working at this point of time is the law enforcement agencies, whether it's ED, CBI, NIA. They are used to blackmail the political leadership into submission. They have dismantled my PDP, you know that very well. They knew that this is going to be, they are going to put some kind of resistance to our nefarious design. So they have broken it, into pieces and created a new hybrid kind of, political system, a new ecosystem here. But that's not working because all the political parties, be it NC, PDP, Congress, we have worked so hard for so many years and now we are somewhere. But the atmosphere they are trying to create, they are trying to discredit the mainstream parties by calling us corrupt, dinas, and whatnot. But I mean, it is very difficult because if a common person is not able to express just common things, because they say democracy is a battle of ideas. This is no battle. You can't simply express an idea. So it's very difficult, but we are fighting it out. We're fighting it out.
Why does this situation exist? Does it stem from, would you say that it started after Article 370 was abrogated and Jammu and Kashmir was demoted and divided into two union territories? And how would you explain this kind of a shift? Did it exist before, or has it increased, or did it just start after 2019?
No, I think you of all the people know that Kashmir has been an issue for so many years, and your father was so active in it. And but definitely 5th August 2019, the unconstitutional abrogation of 370 has further complicated the issue. And it has not stopped with abrogation of 370 because all the things that have followed after that, the diktats that are coming from Delhi, like demotion to union territory, then, it has been like, if there was a war and somebody won the war, now they are after the spoils of war. They are after how to grab the land, how to take the resources out, how to take away their jobs, and above all, how to take, away their dignity, humiliate them. That's what is happening, and that has further complicated the issue. It has further alienated the people. Not only in Kashmir, even Jammu people are so, disappointed. They are so hopeless because the things they are moving. Jammu is, after all, it's a business hub. It used to be a business hub, but after 370, with this no darbar move, no interaction between the two sides, and many other things which I already mentioned, that they have outsourced everything that the people of Jammu and Kashmir were dependent upon. So it is not only after 2019, but definitely 2019 has complicated the things further. It has further alienated the people.
Would you describe how it started, August 5th, 2019, when they abrogated Article 370? You were in jail, but we'll come back to that later. But, talking about the larger situation in Jammu and Kashmir that started evolving after August 5th, 2019, internet was shut down. There were restrictions imposed on the streets. People were being arrested. And economic activity, political activity, everything came to a halt. Has that situation improved? The government is talking about normalcy all the time, and saying that, things are better, things have improved. So is in the last 3-4 years, from August 5th onwards, how do you see the situation developing? What has improved? What has remained static? And what is deteriorating?
Well, I would say for a tourist or for a visitor, everything has improved. They can come, they can take a selfie, they can go for a boat ride, they can go to Gulmarg, they can play with snow, they can, just be caught in a traffic jam and see everything is normal. But for a person living in J&K state, who has been stripped of everything, everything that was dear to him, including his dignity, his honor, and then the whole state was dismembered, So then you are threatened into silence that if you cry out in pain, you are going to land in jail. So you can well imagine, I mean, it has become like an open air prison where you are monitored all the time, where there is surveillance all the time. I just can't explain how hopeless people are, how distressed people are, but they will not talk to anybody. I just read a piece in a paper where a lady journalist had come. She said, "Oh, I'm so happy. I was traveling in a taxi, and I asked the driver, why are there, security personnel after every,
Yes, she's written about it.
yeah, and I was so happy when he said they are for our security. Madam, what do you expect a Kashmiri to tell you? Do you think that a Kashmiri is going to open his heart to you when he knows he's going to land in jail for every critical comment that he's going to make about, anything happening here?
Yeah, let me come to, I mean, when you say that Kashmiris
I
are
just, I
scared
just
of,
want to add one thing. When they say everything is fine, why are our jails inside J&K and outside filled with filled with Kashmiris? Why a cancer patient who is in a jail in UP in his last stage can't be transferred to Kashmir? Why have they gone up after Jamaat Islami who have nothing to do with the I mean, at least they are an institution who have these schools running, these social welfare things they are doing. Why there's a crackdown upon them? For what? If everything is fine, why are they raiding businessmen? Any businessman. It's not someone who is specific. Why are all these agencies after us? If you go through the newspaper, the only two things you will read: advertisement of what the government is doing. Secondly, how many raids have taken place by NIA, by ED, by CBI, and raids on Kashmir, on common people who have nothing got to do with militancy or with any other thing, and how the employees are being terminated. Why
so,
all this is happening then?
so would you say the situation is deteriorating?
I would say the alienation has gone to the level that you just can't imagine, because first the BJP was treating Pakistan as an enemy country. We understand that they went to Balakot and came back and won the election in 2019 on that strike. But today, since 2019, they are treating Kashmiris worse than an enemy. And it is not stopping at Balakot. It is not stopping at one thing. One thing, another thing, every day, there is some other agency going after the people. And, last 3 or 4 days back, there was a diktat that these employees cannot protest. What were they protesting? They were protesting to get their provident fund, which is their own right. Can you imagine there have been diktats from the government to the preachers in the mosques that they should not mention the word Palestine. They should not pray for Palestine. So you can well imagine what is the situation here.
Did you anticipate this kind of an attitude from the present government? At some point in time, the PDP was in alliance with the BJP. It is also speculated by some people that the PDP alliance with the BJP was a stepping stone that the BJP used to dismantle Kashmir. How do you now view that kind of equation or alliance with the BJP? Do you think that was a mistake? Did you preempt? Did you predict while you were in the coalition with the BJP? Did you predict any of this?
Well, you said the right word, preempt. That's what my father knew, that he knew that, BJP is going to be there, Mr. Modi is going to be there for quite some time. It's not going to be a one-term affair. And he had worked with Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and he had for once seen that there can be a dialogue between Kashmiri people, the separatists, and government of India. There can be a dialogue between India and Pakistan, wherein he played a very important role. So the situation, if you recall, it has changed drastically, with roads opening, militancy coming down, ceasefire on the borders, dialogue happening all the time. And it was his dream. He never wanted to be just the chief minister, because for him, he had formed a party, PDP. Otherwise, he was in Congress. Why should he create a party? But he wanted to play a very important role in facilitating the resolution of Kashmir issue. So when Modi came, he thought it as an opportunity to engage him, to preempt their, what was in their manifesto for last 70 years, that they want to, abrogate Article 370. So to preempt that, he entered into an alliance where 370 was on the top of agenda, that they are not going to mess with it. And as long as we were in the government, we did not allow them to mess with it, but rather it was our agenda that was working, whether it was, coming a high power delegation from Delhi to talk with engage with the Hurriyat people, ceasefire, offer of dialogue. I mean, so many things happened during that time which were on the agenda of PDP, not BJP's agenda. They had to withdraw support from my government to do what they have done. They could not have done it as long as they were in the government. So saying that it was PDP, I would say it was PDP who saved the state for at least those 3 years from what is happening today. Because you have to engage with the Prime Minister of the country. You just can't run away if he belongs to RSS, if he belongs to Hindu Mahasabha. It's not your fault. What can you do? You have to engage with them.
So you could just stop them. Are you saying you could just stop them for 3 years? And
as long as we're in the government, because that was a commitment that we'll form the government, we're not going to touch 370 at all. And that's what they did.
In hindsight, do you think that was a mistake?
I don't think my father,
I mean, one of the reasons that it is said is that, especially when you re-entered into that alliance, you took some time, 3 months, deciding on whether you wanted to continue the alliance after your father's death. And there was some reluctance, but then you did go in, and there are speculations that your party was disintegrating. And right now you say, you talked about how the BJP is trying to disintegrate and weaken your party in different ways. So just looking at how do you think, there were certain reasons that you renegotiated that alliance, but it didn't work.
Your father has left you a legacy in Kashmir times, hasn't he? You may face difficulties, but you have to carry forward his legacy. And this alliance with BJP was my father's legacy, and he had great vision. He had larger interests at his heart for this. The only thing that he talked about during the last years of his life, I would say 4 or 5 years, he just said, I want to take Kashmir out of this mess. I want to give people peace with dignity and honor. And I can do it. He had this thing in him that he could persuade Mr. Modi to toe Vajpayee's line. But unfortunately, his health, was quite bad. And then, he went away. I came, and I was reluctant, very much reluctant. And I made it very clear to Mr. Rajnath Singh when he told me, Mehbooba ji, you just get ready. I said, well, what? I'm not interested. But then there were many other things, and also my father's commitment. I could not, say that my father, this is a wrong decision, so I'm not. He had, stakes everything. He had put everything at stake, his credibility, his honor, the party. So I could not just give it up altogether. I could not leave the path that he had taken. And I think he was right, because at the end of the day, if you want the resolution of Kashmir problem, you have to engage whichever party comes to power at the center. You have to engage with them. Otherwise, otherwise you're just a chief minister. I mean, roads, good governance, administration, anybody can do that. And my father did a excellent job of that when he was there for 3 years. But in addition to that, he is remembered for Muzaffarabad Road. He is remembered for dialogue process. For Vajpayee is famous that when he came to Kashmir, that extension of friendship with Pakistan, extending his hand of friendship to Pakistan. So these things mattered a lot to my father, and he wanted to start where he had left with Vajpayee.
So, you did repose some trust and faith in the BJP at that time. Yet they pulled the rug from under your government. They broke the coalition in 2018. In 2019, when they abrogated Article 370, you were among the leaders, along with other former chief ministers, to be put in prison. How does it feel? How did that experience feel? Were you bitter? What kind of memories do you have, when you look back?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, when they withdrew the support from my government, I was not bitter about it at all. I knew that it wasn't working their way they wanted. Whatever was happening was according to my agenda at that point of time. Can you imagine dropping two cabinet ministers of BJP? Has it happened anywhere in the country? You see that, that member parliament who has molested these, wrestle girls, he's still going around. But I dropped two ministers because they
Over
participated
the
in a rally.
Katua case.
Yeah, yeah. And then I took, withdrew FIRs of 12,000 boys who were, involved in stone pelting. I asked them to do a ceasefire and they agreed to it. I asked them to send a delegation. I wrote a letter for the first time. Any chief minister has written a letter to separatists. Please engage in a dialogue with this. So I did what I had to do, and I understand that they could not go on with that kind of line which I had adopted. So say withdrew power. But as far as this is concerned, when they detained me, Omar Abdullah and Farooq Saab and everybody, the situation was very grave. It was heartbreaking the way the only channel I could see at that time was Al Jazeera. And I could see that during the nights, the planes would come and they would take these young boys away, put them in very small cells there. There was a story of a very young boy, he was not even a teenager, on Al Jazeera, where he was put in a cell where there were snakes around. He was so scared, he had that trauma. So it was all what was happening, whatever information I could, receive from the women who were there guarding me. It was very sad and people were disheartened and they were very scared also because the top of the administration at that point of time, before abrogation of 2019, this Article 370, he had told the people, the hospitals and other departmental people, be ready for 1,000 casualties and 10,000, injured people. So that was and they had asked all the Amarnath Yatris to go back, called all the tourists to go back. So there was this fear that something very, very, very bad is going to happen. And when that happened, there was army everywhere, at every nook and corner, at your doors, everywhere. So there was a lot of fear at that point of time, and we inside feared the worst.
How much were you informed about what is happening outside at that time? You said your only company were the guards, the women who guarding you?
Yeah, there was no phone, there was no TV for at least a month. Only after 1 month, I could get some information, and then, but the guards, they would talk, they would talk, they would tell me certain things. And I had also got a radio. I would listen to BBC and that kind of stuff. Totally cut off, but you could hear that people are, it's a situation which has never been there in my lifetime. I have never experienced this kind of situation in my lifetime. There have been things have been worse. I have gone through, mine blasts. I was fired upon. A grenade was thrown on my, meeting. There was a mine, planted on my way. I mean, very dangerous situations. But what happened after 2019 and what was happening at that point of time? I mean, what is happening today is something which I don't think anybody would have seen such a thing, experienced such a thing.
You talked about grenade blasts and, facing situations that were extremely challenging during the heydays of militancy. And the government is talking repeatedly about there is peace in the valley. We have broken the leg of the militancy. And how do you see it? Is militancy
Peace at what cost? What cost? Peace at what cost? At the cost of, converting a beautiful place like Jammu Kashmir into a prison. Peace at the cost of, taking away our, suspending all our rights, suspending democracy, suspending our fundamental rights, keeping us under surveillance all the time, being scared of even mentioning the word Palestine in a mosque. What kind of a peace is this? That if a Mehbooba Mufti wants to take a protest in support of Palestine, she is not allowed because it's going to, disturb the peace. What kind of peace is that? Where a person can't express. I mean, look at the journalists. How many of them are in jails under UAPA? What did they do? They did their duty, as you are doing. They try to report the truth, the reality that is on the ground, not carry forward their narrative, what they want us to believe and what they want to say, want the world to believe. So this is the peace that we have here. I mean, they say the schools are open, very good, very nice. But people who are in jail, even they send their kids to schools. Does that mean that the people who are in jail is a good thing? No, it's bad. Going to school is very good, but at what cost? What is the cost that Kashmiris, people of Jammu and Kashmir are paying for this? It's a very huge cost. Of course, I mean, people are 75% people are under depression. What is that? Is that normalcy? What kind of a normalcy is that?
Talked about depression. There are also reports about drug abuse, and drug
Of
abuse
course.
transitioning from opium to the more hard narcotics.
Mhm.
So,
You know where it is coming from. You know what is happening in Gujarat courts. You know how many the drugs were,
how
caught
is
there.
this happening? If there is a lot of security, everything is
Yeah,
peaceful,
that's
everything is under
exactly,
control,
exactly.
everybody is under so much surveillance. How does it happen?
I don't know how it happens. I mean, I mean, I don't want to say something, because both of us will be in trouble. That is the, situation. That is the state of affairs in today's India, where you can't, talk your mind. You can't say what is to be said at times. We know where the drugs are coming from. We know what happened to Punjab. We know, how these young kids were made into drug addicts so that the problem goes away, but the problem doesn't go away. You have to resolve the problem. You have to address the problem. You can't keep on jailing people all the time. It's not about about what you do. It's about the thought, the idea that's in your mind. You have to address that idea with a better idea. That's what Mufti Sahib tried to do along with Vajpayee. He asked them to open all the roads. Let Kashmiris go there and let them see what is on the other side. Let them come here and let them see what is here on this side. That was the self-rule was the and is the ultimate resolution to the Kashmir problem. And it has to happen somewhere. I mean, you just can't, what they are trying to follow the Israeli policy on Palestine. They are trying to follow the same policy. In Jammu, you have seen what they are doing. They are getting, the outsiders are coming, whether it's a rickshaw or, ready wala or other people. But in Kashmir, since they can't get the outsiders the way they want, so they are giving big chunks, 500, 600 canals of land to security forces to build permanent structures. Wherever there was a tenting facility, now they are building permanent structures. They have given, thousands of acres of land during these 5 years to security forces, to army, CRPF, BSF, and other, security personnel to build permanent structures. They are plundering the land like anything. So that's what they are doing. They feel this problem is going to go away, and this is the only solution by dominating Kashmiris with the outsiders. It doesn't, work that way. It doesn't. Maybe it helps BJP to garner votes in the rest of the country, but it doesn't help the nation. It doesn't help the nation.
So let's come to the present political situation in Jammu and Kashmir. I read somewhere that you said that you will not be contesting elections, and that there's no decision yet taken on whether you will go in for elections in alliance with the People's Alliance for Gupkar Declaration, or will you go it alone? So these are, some of the questions that have come up in the public domain. But first, before I come to that, do you think elections will be held, and if and when?
Well, as I said, election has the BJP, what they want the debate from resolution of Kashmir to shift to 370, from 370 to statehood. Now from statehood, they want the debate to, shift to elections. They want that the people of Jammu and Kashmir should start begging them for elections, But as me and my party, we are not getting caught in that trap. Election is a very important thing. We want elections to happen, but we don't want it to be the point of debate everywhere, because that's what they want. Everybody should be talking about elections. And election is it's a democratic process. When they have suspended the basic rights of the people, the restoration of the basic rights is the most important thing. Getting back all those boys who are innocent and languishing in jails outside, that's the first thing. Elections have to happen, but I'm not sure they will have elections here, especially the assembly ones, because they are too scared what is happening in Jammu. Because Jammu people were told that Kashmiris take everything from you, they discriminate against you. Once 370 is gone, you will be on the moon. But now Jammu, as I said earlier, Jammu has suffered the most. At least Kashmir is in the focus. G20, tourism, all the meetings are conducted here, people come here, and everything, it remains in focus. Maybe for the international, under the international pressure, because they want to show it to the world outside that everything is fine in Kashmir. But what about Jammu? Nobody is talking about Jammu. Jammu is suffering like anything. So elections very important, but they are too scared to go for elections because they know Jammu is the indicator what is going to happen in the rest of the country where it's the cow belt is there. Because in Jammu, they play the same Hindu-Muslim card. So if it doesn't work in Jammu, it's not going to work in anywhere else. So that's why they are reluctant to hold elections.
And the BJP is talking about we've restored democracy and peace. And you are saying that even for holding elections or even before holding elections, there is a need to restore the civil liberties. Is that right?
Of course, civil liberties of common people, of a journalist, so that he can report what he sees on the ground. A common person has a right to come on the street and talk about what is happening in Palestine, what is happening in Kashmir. Nobody is allowed to do that.
And you feel that is more significant than holding elections, are you saying?
Election is the second step. Because the basic rights, fundamental rights, where you can express, because election is a part of democracy, and democracy is a battle of ideas. If you are not able to give the first part, your basic right to talk, to express your thoughts, I mean, what kind of election are you going to hold? And how is that election going to take place when you have already done a lot of gerrymandering during the delimitation exercise? You have already manipulated money, things in BJP's favor. That's already been done. But election is very important. People want elections because they don't want these babus all the time in the office with whom they can't communicate, who are in their own world, because don't have a advisor from Jammu. Let's leave Kashmiris. Okay, Kashmiris are Muslims and they are, anti-nationals. You don't have a single advisor. You don't have anybody from Jammu in important places, any officer, SP, DG, IG. Not many people are there in important places. So you have disempowered not only Kashmiris, you have disempowered the whole state of Jammu and Kashmir, including Ladakh. You have taken away everything. You are controlling everything through a remote control.
So let's come to, people you said do want elections. So I'm sure, within the Gupkar alliance or even within your own party, there must be talk about elections and how to prepare for that. So what is the likelihood of the Gupkar alliance, which, since its formation is reduced in size, it's trimmed, many parties have left out and fallen out. Would you go to elections in alliance with the Gupkar declaration or?
Well, to be very frank, we haven't discussed this thing because the only election now we are hoping to be there is parliament elections. And we haven't discussed that as yet, whether we are going to go into alliance or not. And my party, we are preparing ourselves, alliance or no alliance, we have to be prepared for that. For the parliament elections. Assembly elections, I personally won't be fighting assembly elections because, it really breaks my heart that whenever I, fought my first election in assembly, we took oath by JK Constitution as well as the Indian Constitution. We had two flags in front of us. Now it breaks my heart, to fight that election and, not to have your own flag and your own constitution also there. So a parliament, I'm just thinking about it, but as far as alliance is concerned, we haven't, discussed it with Farooq Saab or anybody as of now.
So what would be if PDP were to go to elections, leave the alliance out since there are no discussions going on, as you say. But if PDP were to go to elections, and I'm talking about assembly elections, what would be the thrust or manifesto you would take to the public? You spoke about self-rule being still relevant. Would it be self-rule?
Peace with dignity. That's the crux of self-rule. That's the crux of Kashmir problem. That's the crux of resolution of Kashmir problem.
Would you
Kashmiris have taken a decision more than 70 years back to align with Gandhi's India. But what happened before that, even the problem was there even 2009, before 2019. Kashmir problem was there. But what happened after that? What happened after 47? Once we aligned with the Gandhi's India. So there is a gap. There is you can say a gulf has come between people of J&K and rest of the country, especially the Kashmir and rest of the country. We want to bridge that, gap, that gulf, but it has to be done with our head standing high, not through surrender. That's what we want to do.
You say that you want to bridge that gap. And you also said that alienation is reached such a level that it's very difficult to understand. Do you think that gap is bridgeable?
Well, I would say that, if, instead of instilling fear in the hearts of the minds of people, if you want to win them over and, adopt certain confidence building measures to win over people. Kashmiris, they are very simple people at heart. They are very emotional, but you just can't do what you have done to them. When I say Kashmiris, I mean people of Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh. You have disrobed them, you have taken away everything from them, and then you expect that, can you imagine they celebrated Union Territory Day some days back? Can you imagine a person is demoted from, graduation to KG, and then he said, you have to, celebrate this day. How farcical can they get? How farcical can they get? So this is it.
Yeah, but what hopes do you have for the future?
Well, hope is the only thing that, keeps me going. We can't give up on hope. And we should learn a lesson from, the people of Ukraine, the people of Palestine, how they are fighting, with their blood. They are fighting for a different cause. We are fighting for our honor, to peace with dignity. They are fighting for their land. Our land is with us. We are in a part of this country, this great Gandhi's country, which is unfortunately slowly and steadily becoming Godse's country. But we will fight, till our last for the peace with dignity, for our honor, for our identity, whether it is Dogra identity, Kashmiri, or, Ladakhis, we're going to fight it. We will not give in like this, They can't threaten, they can threaten people into silence, but they can't, just kind of make us give up everything like this. No, we won't be threatened.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you were hesitant to,
yeah,
but thank you so much.